Hey, what's going on, Roleplayers? It's the Bard here, and welcome back to the corner. It's a quick announcement for my regular viewers. I haven't been able to put anything up recently due to illness and the rest of my family being under the weather as well as my little one having to go to hospital. So I haven't really had the chance to do much. There really isn't anything more to say about it, and I know you guys will understand. Anyway, with that out of the way, let's see what we've got for you guys today. Can you do a Belmont build from Castlevania? Oh, what an amazing suggestion! There are two games that very much set me on my role-playing path. One was Final Fantasy and the other was Castlevania, so this holds a special place for me. I played Castlevania before, but I really got passionate about it when I bought Symphony of the Night. That game was just so good. The music was incredible, the atmosphere was there, the character development was brilliant, and it was a role-playing game as well as a platformer. You know, you actually built up your character and added stats and added skills and had improvements to spells and things, so it was an amazing game. If you haven't played SOTN, then I would recommend you download it because it's a really enjoyable game. Nonetheless, however, we don't want to get sidetracked, and if you're just here because you want a decent undead hunter, then by all means stick around for that as well. So guys, grab your whip, stock up on that holy water, and prepare to enter Dracula's domain. Belmont is a specialist vampire hunter, so you want a specialist hunter class. So you're probably going to want to go with Ranger. Now you could go with Monster Slayer, but for me there just isn't enough that's going on in it. The Belmonts might be specialist vampire hunters, but they deal with a variety of different creatures along the way on their quest. Throughout the generations of vampire hunters as well, new powers arise and new abilities form. For this reason, I'd like to consider something like Hunter Ranger. Colossus Slayer is a great all-purpose ability that's useful against a variety of different creatures. This gives you the option then to use your cleric spells to tailor your list towards more specific kinds of creatures. I like to think that there's some divine guidance that's giving the characters some power in order to fight the creatures of the night. However, if you think it should be more about one person's quest, perhaps the strength of the individual or the power that comes from within, why not consider going with something like Wizard, something that the character can learn by themselves and that isn't necessarily granted by divine favour. Cleric might actually be quite the appropriate class, however. Characters like Gabriel are sent by the Brotherhood, an organisation that has all the trappings of a holy order. Not only are they dedicated to safeguarding humanity against the creatures of the night, but they're also an order of crusader-like individuals, so perhaps something like War Cleric would be really appropriate for this build. The Belmonts are always strong combatants, and their attacks and their tenacity should be reflected in the abilities that this build has. The extra attack from Ranger, as well as the extra bonus attack action that you can take from War Cleric, give you enough swings to deal with all of Dracula's minions. This combination should give you enough versatility to be both a caster or a melee combatant, as well as giving you a variety of abilities to be useful in a variety of different situations. However, you can still tailor your spell list for dealing with specific creatures. You should have all the tools necessary for dealing with the Count in the castle. The Belmonts use the iconic vampire killer, so you're going to want to go with a whip as your main weapon. Whips don't do amazing damage, unfortunately it's one of the lowest damage scores that there is in the game. However, you can improve it somewhat with the dueling ability as your fighting style. You don't need to concern yourself, however, too much with the amount of damage that the whip is doing, because Ranger abilities like Colossus Slayer and Cleric abilities like Divine Strike are going to add a number of additional dice to your pool so that you can actually keep up with the rest of the fighters in the group. Another thing that's going to be important to note, and it might sound a little bit ridiculous, but you should really bear with me on this one. Consumables are some of your best friends. Acid, Alchemist Fire, Holy Water, stock up on tons of these, as well as getting yourself a bunch of darts that you can just throw at enemies. Under Adventuring Gear, it usually states something along the lines of you can use these consumables as an improvised weapon. Improvised weapons of course fall under the weapon category, so they are basically the same thing. But a lot of your special abilities like Colossus Slayer, for example, deal extra damage when you hit a creature with that weapon attack. The Belmonts use a variety of different consumables, throwing axes, throwing knives, bouncing stones, holy waters, holy crosses. Whatever the attack is, there should be a reflection of how much damage it can potentially do. And there's no reason why you can't apply these extra rolls to those consumable items, because they are still improvised weapons, they still come under the weapon category, therefore the bonuses do apply. To a degree, it makes even more sense, because you're going to want to use things like holy water, but you'll only have like a limited amount of it. So, for example, if holy water deals 2d6 additional damage to any creature that has the undead or fiend type, and of course your whip is only dealing like 1d4, then it makes sense that your more powerful attacks would be somewhat limited in the amount of times that you can use them. With this in mind, you're going to want something like Tavern Brawler, because you're going to want proficiency with improvised weapons. No one's going to say no to the bonus to Constitution, and the fact that your natural attacks deal as much damage as your whip does is something that you can always fall back on if you get disarmed, because it doesn't matter how much damage you're doing with your hands, because you have all the bonuses from things like Colossus Slayer and Divine Strike when you eventually get it. If you are going to be running around in Dracula's castle, then no doubt there are going to be hundreds of terrifying traps and secret passages all over the place. For all the power that Dracula might have, there are just so many more advantages to being well prepared, and having a castle full of traps is a great way to prepare for unwary adventurers, so Dungeon Delver is really good for survival. Even if those adventurers do get past the traps, you don't live that long without knowing how to deal with the adventurers when they eventually get to you. So there will be a variety of powers and attacks that the vampires will have that they can use against anyone and everyone. So you need as many defenses as you can get. Resilient is great for covering your bases, considering you are multi-classing and you want to have more proficiencies with certain saves. And of course, a bonus to an ability score is useful in almost any situation. War Priest gets a number of great spells. One of my favourites is Divine Favour. As basic a spell as it is, it really works so well, because this spell affects you, and therefore the damage that is added to weapons is added to any weapon that you use. So whether it's your whip, whether it's your throwing dagger, or as we discussed earlier, whether it's for like a vial of acid or something, you're going to get that extra bonus on damage. Additionally, this spell is a bonus action cast, so you can get into the attacking right away, get right up in the thick of it, and start dealing damage to all of those creatures of the night. Sooner or later, you're going to come across creatures that have resistance to non-magical effects, so having a magic weapon that you can always cast when you need it is just such a boon to the character. Spiritual Weapon is another amazing low-level spell. Also, this one doesn't require any concentration either. So if you've run out of your War Priest special ability and you don't have any more bonus strikes left, at least you can use Spiritual Weapon to keep dealing consistent damage to the enemies. And it's also great for dealing with things that are generally out of your reach. So you can have a Spiritual Weapon that is like a Spiritual Whip if that's what you so desire, and still have some ranged attack against something without losing too much of the flavour of the character. I adore Spirit Guardians for clearing out the trash. There's nova of energy surrounding you that you can exclude your own party members from, that just deals damage round after round after round, as well as slowing the creatures, keeping them within the range of your whip. This is a ridiculously good spell that can last up to 10 minutes, so it might even be useful for multiple encounters. Freedom of Movement never stops being an amazing get out of jail free card, regardless of the creature's abilities, and because you're a character that has a reach weapon, you don't want to be up close too much. You want to stay within range, but you don't want to be putting yourself in harm's way. Chances are you want to be lightly armoured. Belmonts want to be active and acrobatic. This spell is perfect for getting out of the clutches of dangerous monsters and allow you to then move into a better position where you can press the advantage. Hold Monster is an amazing spell because Paralyze is just such a terrifying effect. If you're up close enough, you get advantage against them and you get automatic critical hits. This thing is ridiculous and it should be used really, really often. And of course your entire party can take advantage of that as well. Hold Monster is one of those spells that is just so good in so many situations. I would say definitely make sure you're casting this all the time. If you progress your cleric levels enough that you can get hold of this 5th level spell, then the rest of your party is going to love you. As soon as you cast it, automatic critical hits are something that every player just loves to receive, because it's so much fun to roll all of those extra dice. And when you consider the fact that you can use your own abilities to roll additional dice, like Colossus Slayer or Divine Strike, then you're going to be dealing so much damage as well. These are just your domain spells. You can still prepare other spells on top of that. You can get so many different extras like healing or protection, So you really have the opportunity to prepare spells that allow you more utility or more defenses and not have to compromise on the fact that you need some damage dealers as well. So you're going to be able to have a really well-rounded character, and the amount of spells that you'll have access to will give you lots of versatility in the long run. Belmont, an amazing suggestion for a character build, and it fits the theme so perfectly because you've got all the classic fantasy monsters. You've got vampires, you've got werewolves, you've got skeletons, or any other creature that your DM decides to put in, and you're going to be the one saving humanity from all of them. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this Belmont build. It was an amazing suggestion, so thank you to all the subscribers who put in such great suggestions. If you have suggestions of your own, be sure to put them in the comments, and remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Guys, I'm sorry if I still sound croaky. I am still getting over this cold. It's not the performance that I wanted to give. I do feel still under the weather, but it was such a great suggestion, and I just wanted to get it done because I love the theme so much. Do you guys love this theme as well? Is it the kind of build that you would play yourself? Is it something you've already done? Or is it something you're considering? Whatever your thoughts, I'd love to hear about them. Put them in the comment section, and I will see you guys next time at the gaming table.